When we think about effective communication, we often focus on the ability to speak well in public or to express our ideas clearly and concisely. However, communication goes beyond that. It's about connecting with others, understanding their needs and perspectives, and conveying our ideas in a way that resonates with them. This is where the ability to think faster and speak smarter comes in. As an effective communicator, you need to be able to think critically and solve problems creatively. This means being able to analyze complex situations, identify patterns and connections, and find innovative solutions. In addition, you need to be able to articulate your ideas clearly and concisely so that others can understand and connect with them. One of the key skills for thinking faster and speaking smarter is the ability to manage your mental state. This means being able to control your stress and anxiety levels, stay calm in stressful situations, and stay focused on the present moment. When you're under pressure, your body goes into fight or flight mode, releasing hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones can help you react quickly, but they can also hinder your ability to think clearly and make informed decisions. To manage your mental state, it's important to develop stress management techniques, such as deep breathing, meditation, and regular exercise. It's also important to have a growth mindset, believing that your skills can be developed and improved with practice and dedication. When you have a growth mindset, you're more likely to take risks, try new approaches, and learn from your mistakes. Another important skill for thinking faster and speaking more intelligently is the ability to listen actively. This means being present in the conversation, paying attention to what the other person is saying, and responding thoughtfully and empathetically. When you listen actively, you're more likely to understand the other person's perspective, identify areas of agreement and disagreement, and find solutions that meet everyone's needs. To listen actively, it's important to avoid distractions, maintain eye contact with the other person, and ask open-ended questions to stimulate conversation. Additionally, it is essential to avoid interrupting others and to allow them to finish speaking before responding. When you listen actively, you are showing respect for others and their time, and you are more likely to build strong, meaningful relationships. Effective communication also involves the ability to articulate your ideas clearly and concisely. This means avoiding unnecessary jargon and technical terms, using examples and stories to illustrate your points, and keeping your language simple and accessible. When you speak clearly and concisely, you are more likely to hold your audience's attention and convey your ideas effectively. To articulate your ideas clearly and concisely, it is important to define your objective and main message before you begin speaking. In addition, it is essential to know your audience and adapt your language and style to meet their needs. When you speak clearly and concisely, you are showing respect for your audience's time and attention, and you are more likely to achieve your goals. Now, let's talk about the importance of structure in communication. When you structure your message clearly and logically, you're more likely to keep your audience's attention and convey your ideas effectively. This means starting with a clear and concise introduction, following with a logical and well-organized body, and ending with a strong and memorable conclusion. One of the main structures you can use is the problem-solution benefits structure. This means starting by identifying a problem or need, following with a clear and concise solution, and ending with the benefits of the solution. This structure is particularly useful in sales or pitching situations, where you need to convince your audience to take a specific action. Another structure you can use is the story structure. This means starting with a personal story or example, following with a lesson or main message, and ending with a conclusion or call to action. This structure is particularly useful in more personal or emotional communication situations, where you need to connect with your audience on a deeper level. Structuring your message also involves being able to use body language and voice to reinforce your message. This means maintaining eye contact with your audience, using gestures and facial expressions to emphasize your points, and varying your tone and volume to keep your audience's attention. When you use body language and vocal expression effectively, you are more likely to keep your audience's attention and convey your ideas more effectively. In addition to structuring your message, another important skill for thinking faster and speaking more intelligently is the ability to handle difficult questions and answers. This means being prepared to answer challenging questions, staying calm under pressure, and providing clear, concise answers. When you are prepared to handle difficult questions and answers, you are more likely to maintain your audience's trust and convey your ideas effectively. To handle difficult questions and answers, it is important to anticipate the questions that may be asked and prepare clear, concise answers. In addition, it is essential to remain calm and composed, even when faced with challenging questions. This means taking deep breaths, maintaining eye contact with the speaker, and providing clear, concise answers. Another important skill is the ability to use stories and examples to illustrate your points. This means using personal narratives or concrete examples to illustrate your ideas and make them more memorable and impactful. When you use stories and examples, you are more likely to connect with your audience on a deeper level and convey your ideas more effectively. To use stories and examples effectively, it is important to choose narratives that are relevant to your audience and that illustrate your points clearly and concisely. Additionally, it is essential to use vivid and descriptive language to bring the stories and examples to life. When you use stories and examples effectively, you are more likely to hold your audience's attention and convey your ideas more effectively. Effective communication also involves the ability to cope with anxiety and stress. This means developing techniques to manage stress and anxiety, such as deep breathing, meditation, and regular exercise. Additionally, it is essential to have a growth mindset, believing that your skills can be developed and improved with practice and dedication. When you develop skills to cope with anxiety and stress, you are more likely to feel more confident and prepared to face communication challenges. Plus, you are more likely to stay calm and composed, even in stressful situations. Now, let's talk about the importance of practice and feedback in effective communication. This means seeking out opportunities to practice your communication skills, receiving constructive feedback, and using that feedback to improve your skills. When you practice regularly and seek feedback, you are more likely to develop more effective communication skills and feel more confident in your abilities. To practice your communication skills, it is important to seek out opportunities to speak in public, participate in discussions, and receive constructive feedback. In addition, it is essential to be open to criticism and suggestions, and use that feedback to improve your skills. When you practice regularly and seek feedback, you are more likely to become a more effective and confident communicator. In addition to practice and feedback, another important skill for thinking faster and speaking more intelligently is the ability to adapt to different situations and audiences. This means being able to adjust your language, tone, and style to meet the specific needs of your audience and the situation. When you adapt to different situations and audiences, you are more likely to connect with them effectively and convey your ideas more impactfully. In order to adapt to different situations and audiences, it is important to know your audience and understand their needs and expectations. In addition, it is essential to be flexible and able to adjust your approach as needed. This means being open to change and willing to try new approaches. Effective communication also involves the ability to effectively use technology and social media. This means understanding how to use technology tools to enhance communication and connect with your audience more effectively. When you use technology and social media effectively, you are more likely to reach a wider audience and convey your ideas more impactfully. To effectively use technology and social media, it is important to understand the different platforms and tools available and how to use them to enhance communication. In addition, it is essential to be conscious of your online presence and ensure that your message is consistent across all platforms. Now, let's talk about the importance of authenticity and vulnerability in effective communication. This means being genuine and authentic in your communication, and being willing to share your experiences and vulnerabilities. When you are authentic and vulnerable, you are more likely to connect with your audience on a deeper level and convey your ideas more impactfully. To be authentic and vulnerable, it is important to be honest and transparent in your communication, and to be willing to share your experiences and vulnerabilities. In addition, it is essential to be aware of your body language and tone, and ensure that they are consistent with your message. Effective communication also involves the ability to deal with conflict and criticism effectively. This means being prepared to handle difficult situations and criticism, and having the skills to resolve conflict constructively. When you deal with conflict and criticism effectively, you are more likely to maintain healthy relationships and convey your ideas more impactfully. To deal with conflict and criticism effectively, it is important to be prepared to listen to criticism and feedback, and have the skills to respond constructively. In addition, it is essential to be aware of your body language and tone, and ensure that they are consistent with your message. Effective communication also involves the ability to lead and influence others. This means being able to inspire and motivate others to work toward a common goal. When you lead and influence others effectively, you are more likely to achieve your goals and make a positive difference in the world. To lead and influence others effectively, it is important to be a positive and inspiring role model. This means being authentic, transparent, and fair in your actions and decisions. In addition, it is essential to be able to communicate clearly and concisely, and to inspire trust and credibility in others. Another important skill for leading and influencing others is the ability to build strong, meaningful relationships. This means being able to connect with others on a personal and professional level, and to build trust and credibility. When you build strong, meaningful relationships, you are more likely to lead and influence others effectively. To build strong, meaningful relationships, it is important to be able to listen actively and communicate effectively. This means being able to understand the needs and perspectives of others, and to respond appropriately. Additionally, it is essential to be able to be empathetic and understanding, and to build trust and credibility in others. Effective communication also involves the ability to deal with change and uncertainty effectively. This means being able to adapt to new situations and challenges, and to lead others through periods of change and uncertainty. When you deal with change and uncertainty effectively, you are more likely to achieve your goals and make a positive difference in the world. To deal with change and uncertainty effectively, it is important to be able to remain flexible and adaptable. This means being able to adjust your strategies and plans as needed, and to lead others through periods of change and uncertainty. In addition, it is essential to be able to communicate clearly and concisely, and to inspire trust and credibility in others. Now, let's talk about the importance of resilience and perseverance in effective communication. This means being able to deal with obstacles and challenges, and to continue working towards your goals despite difficulties. When you are resilient and persistent, you are more likely to achieve your goals and make a positive difference in the world. To be resilient and persistent, it is important to be able to stay motivated and focused on your goals. This means being able to remember why you are working towards a specific goal, and staying committed to your values and principles. In addition, it is essential to be able to take care of yourself physically and emotionally, and to seek support and resources when needed. In short, effective communication is a fundamental skill for achieving success in any area of life. This means being able to communicate clearly and concisely, to lead and influence others, to build strong and meaningful relationships, and to deal with change and uncertainty effectively. When you develop effective communication skills, you are more likely to achieve your goals and make a positive difference in the world. Now that you have reached the end of this inspiring text on effective communication, it is time to take action. If you enjoyed the content and want to continue learning and developing, I invite you to subscribe to our channel to receive more quality content about communication, leadership, and personal development. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like so we can reach more people and continue creating content that inspires and helps you achieve your goals. Your subscription and like are essential to us. They help us continue creating content that is relevant and useful to you, and reach more people who can benefit from our tips and strategies. So, don't hesitate. Subscribe now and leave a like so we can continue together on this journey of personal and professional growth and development.